My name is Wassim Dbouk, and I'm a Marine and Maritime Policy Research Fellow at the University of Southampton. I sit across the Southampton Marine and Maritime Institute and Public Policy Southampton, and part of my role is to support academics at the university with translating their research outcomes into policy impact through connecting them with various stakeholders and policymakers. I specialize in marine environmental law. During my PhD, I focused my research on analyzing the obligations of states in managing offshore oil and gas activities within their jurisdiction and ensuring that such activities do not cause any transboundary damage. The rationale behind my argument is that with the depletion of oil and gas reserves around the world, a move towards deeper and therefore riskier waters needs to be done in a sustainable way. So my first experience with engaging with policymakers came around 10 years ago when I was offered an opportunity to do an internship at the Lebanese parliament, which I very happily took. And I worked closely with a number of MPs in a committee on the incrimination of torture. This experience with the Lebanese parliament was very rewarding, as at the end of my internship, I was happy to see that a number of amendments have been made to the existing bill on the incrimination of torture in Lebanon. Fast forward 8 years or so, and here I am at the final year of my PhD, thinking about the best ways, the support that I could get to translate the research that I've conducted into actual policy impact. And I've reached out to Public Policy Southampton to discuss the opportunity for me to go on a placement with them. My experience working with Public Policy Southampton has been really eye-opening, as I was introduced to the interaction between research and public policy and to the whole concept of knowledge brokerage. Public Policy Southampton as a unit aims to support the academic community within the university and getting more and more involved in the process of informed policy making. Within the team, my role includes supporting the academics within the university with their various engagements in responding to various calls for evidence from Parliament and government and local government. And I do this by regularly scanning such calls and highlighting them to the attention to experts with specific expertise within the university and providing them with useful tips for producing this evidence to support future policy action. During my time with Public Policy Southampton, I also had the chance to be involved in a number of collaborative research projects, this time focusing more on the policy implications of the research being conducted. Most notably, I've been on a placement with Hampshire County Council, where I've conducted research on social and community cohesion and integration and presented my research outcomes during a stakeholder workshop. I have also worked with colleagues at the University of Southampton and academics based in other higher education institutions on a project on preconception health. In this project, I focused on analyzing the policy landscape and presenting my findings in an executive summary, which identified important policy gaps for the research team in the project to fill. My experience with Public Policy Southampton equipped me with the necessary understanding for me to take on my later role within the Southampton Marine and Maritime Institute as a Marine and Maritime Policy Research Fellow. Within this role, I specialize in researching in marine and maritime policy, but I also continue to support the academics at the university with their engagement with various policy stakeholders at local and national level. For example, we have been building up a steady relationship with a key actor in the maritime industry that is based in Southampton, the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, where we've facilitated numerous policy engagement activities for our academics. Through working with the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, we have facilitated a number of policy engagement opportunities for our PhD students and for more senior academics who have responded to specific consultancies. Our PhD students have worked on a range of topics, all relating to the sustainability of the maritime industry. So they have focused on providing analysis of emission reduction technologies, on the use of high-density batteries in shipping and other areas. Equally, I engage and continue to engage with DEFRA and BASE to establish a trustworthy line of communication and identify research demands to match them with the expertise that is present at the university. Moreover, I continue to be engaged in research projects where I develop and implement policy engagement strategies, including most of the times the organization and delivery of policy workshops, where I get the chance to discuss the research outcomes with stakeholders with interest in these areas. I'm currently in the process of drafting a response to a governmental consultation on the environmental principles which the government will be basing its future policies upon. I'm basing this submission on my PhD thesis and building up on the arguments made in favor of the invocation and implementation of the precautionary principle in shaping environmental policies. I am also delighted to have recently been selected as a member of the Commonwealth Futures Climate Research Cohort, where I will have the opportunity to collaborate with early career researchers across the Commonwealth with the supervision of more senior mentors to work on research to action projects to accelerate our action and in the face of the challenge posed by climate change. The first thing I would ask you to do is to keep reminding yourself of the good that you can do with your research, that there's definitely someone out there who's interested in receiving your research and translating it into actual policy impact. The second thing that I would recommend is for you to start engaging with policy stakeholders as early as possible. This would have an important role to play in shaping your research so that it would respond to actual policy needs. And finally, it's important to acknowledge the difference in the culture between academia and public policy, and the importance of remaining patient and building up these trusting relationships and lines of communications with policymakers. Start engaging early on, but be patient with the outputs that you're going to be delivering.